What's up guys, Tommy Bowyer here from Movie Rewind, and today we will be reviewing one of the worst films I have ever seen in my entire life, Batman and Robin. So without further ado, let's get into it. So in terms of character development, what do we learn about Batman in this film? Well, we learn he has a Bat credit card, so he obviously must go into Tesco's and make contactless payments, which is absolutely great. It's always something I wanted to know. How does Batman pay for his shopping? Well, he has a Bat credit card, so we know how that works now. Robin is just some little bitch who's always complaining because he's not being treated fairly and he deserves everything and he wants to be treated fairly. He wants to be seen as Batman's equal. Robin, you're not Batman's equal because Batman would never do anything as stupid as run at a man holding a freeze gun and get himself iced. So Robin, absolutely pathetic. I learned nothing about Robin which I didn't already know when I watched Batman Forever, so no development done for Robin there. Batgirl is in this film for about 10 minutes I think, and you know what, she adds nothing to this film. She doesn't leave an impression on me. Honestly, half the time I forget she's in this film. The villains the villains are the biggest insult in this film. Mr. Freeze, who is supposed to be one of the most complex characters, is an ice pun idiot who has no real development done on him whatsoever. He has a wife who is dying, which of course is the motive that Mr. Freeze has. However, that's clearly not focused on in this film. Mr. Freeze's main purpose is to shout out ice puns every 5 seconds, so I suppose that's enjoyable for some people. Poison Ivy, don't really get her motive. She comes across as some low-budget porn star. And Bane, well, if you can call the monstrosity in this film, which is supposed to be Bane, he is just a big idiot who just seems thick. And once you've watched The Dark Knight Rises, you really do understand how big an insult the Bane character in this film is to the character of Bane overall. Character development gets a 0 out of 10 because hardly any of the characters get any development whatsoever. As for the performances, they are pretty shocking. George Clooney was completely miscast in the role of Batman and Bruce Wayne. He has even admitted himself that he shouldn't have been cast in this role because he has no personality. He doesn't seem to understand the character whatsoever. And when he jumps out of the Batmobile and says, "Hi Freeze, I'm Batman," that's not Batman. That's George Clooney pretending to be Batman. So it just doesn't work whatsoever. Chris O'Donnell as Robin, I didn't like him in Batman Forever. I really don't like him in Batman and Robin. He comes across as just a really immature kid, even though he's in his mid to late 20s. So I don't really know how that works. He just comes across as immature and really annoying. Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze is terrible casting on all levels, and I would really like to know who casted Arnold Schwarzenegger in the role of Mr. Freeze because they shouldn't be in a job. Mr. Freeze is supposed to be one of the most complex and sympathetic characters in Batman's Rogues Gallery. If you want to see a good portrayal of Mr. Freeze, then watch the episodes that he appears in the Batman the Animated Series, because he is portrayed brilliantly in that. In this film, absolutely terrible. He just delivers ice puns all the time. And Arnold, I like you in some of your other films, however, you were rubbish in this film and you really shouldn't have been cast. Thurman as Poison Ivy, Alicia Silverstone as Batgirl, they don't really give anything to their roles, and the main problem with the performances is everyone seems miscast. No one seems to really fulfill the requirements of the roles that they're casting, so I'm going to give the performances a 1 out of 10 because quite frankly, the majority of performances, they were all miscast in their roles. As for the effects, well, the effects are pretty strange, to be honest. Half of them look very dated now. It looks like they're fighting on a set, and some of the set pieces in this film looks stupid. I mean, when Batman and Robin are ice skating around fighting Mr. Freeze's thugs, it looks like something out of the 60s Batman TV show. And honestly, I would feel better if they said that Batman and Robin was a successor to the Adam West TV show, because at least you could cope with that in your mind. However, you know it's not. You know it's supposed to be a continuation of what happened in the Batman and Batman Returns and Batman Forever. So you know this film is supposed to be a successor to them. However, the effects just genuinely don't hold up very well. It all looks like it's being filmed on a set, a noticeable set. It looks like Batman Live. That's what it looks like. It looks fake as shit. So the effects I'm going to give a 1 out of 10 because they have not held up well at all. In terms of the story and writing, I don't even know if this film had a script written because it is that bad. The story makes absolutely no sense. From what I can gather, this film starts off like a typical 60s Batman show when they got to stop Mr. Freeze, and then they have ice skates on their legs and they're all fighting Mr. Freeze goons. Then Mr. Freeze teams up with Poison Ivy and they want to freeze Gotham and breed loads of plants and have plants take over the world. Absolutely stupid. And also there's this subplot about Alfred being really ill and everyone's concerned about that. But don't worry because he's saved in about 5 seconds. So no worries there, you know. It weren't that hard a disease to cure by the looks of things. The story in this film is so all over the place. The pacing is up the wall. And this really does feel it's too out there. The plot for this film is just, it's way too out there. You know, a lot of the plots for Batman films are more grounded than certain superhero films because Batman's a more grounded character. In this film, you know, it's all about Mr. Freeze wanting to ice Gotham City, which it just doesn't make any sense. Way too over the top. When I see this film, I feel like I'm watching Power Rangers or something. It's that over the top. I hate this story because it just it's shit. The story in this film is absolutely shit. I'm going to give the story and writing a 1 out of 10 because, once again, like every other aspect of this film, it just weren't done very well. And I'd love to meet the man who wrote this script because he shouldn't be employed again. Not if he's writing shit like this. So for this film's special recognition, I'm going to talk about the legacy that Batman and Robin had on comic book films in general. This film single-handedly put back comic book films for decades because what this film showed for many was that comic book films were not for adults, they were only for kids, and they weren't even impressing kids. I don't even think kids enjoy Batman and Robin because it is that bad. And when you look at how big comic book films are now and how like the MCU has shown that you can have universal family appeal for comic book films, and other Batman films like the Dark Knight trilogy have shown, yes, you can have darker comic book films which are made for adults and not for children, you really do understand how much Batman and Robin is absolutely terrible. Batman and Robin is an insult to comic book films everywhere. I absolutely hate what this film did to comic book films. It's the biggest insult I have ever seen, and I will only ever watch this film if I'm being held at gunpoint. And even then it's a maybe. So this special recognition gets a 1 out of 10 because how dare this film be called a comic book film because it is that awful. So in conclusion, Batman and Robin has terrible performances, no character development, and the story, well, if you can call it a story, looks like it was written in about 5 minutes before filming started. And that is why Batman and Robin gets a very well-deserved 4 out of 50, which gives it a grade 6 ranking. This is one of the worst rankings I have ever given a film on this channel. That is how much I hate this film. So thanks for watching, guys. I really do hope that you enjoyed my Batman and Robin movie review. Please remember to like, comment and subscribe in order to receive great and maybe even improved quality content in the future. And I will see you in another one. See ya!